Yeah, there's a little bit of confusion about the crop tour versus the pro farmer estimates at the end of the week. Pro farmer at the end of the week on Friday, when the crop tour is completely done, we will issue our corn and soybean national average yield estimates and total crop estimate. We obviously use the data that has been collected during the tour, but at the end of the tour, when the tour is over, we don't want to speak for the other scouts that were out here. We don't want to give the impression that this is the estimate that all the scouts agree with or anything like that. It is strictly a pro-farmer estimate at the end of the week. Now, we're going to make some adjustments to the numbers that will be released during the crop tour, and we'll make those adjustments based on the history. A couple of really good examples about how the crop tour number will deviate from USDA's final estimate on a state-by-state basis. Nebraska, we always measure Nebraska low, and we measure it by as much as 15 bushels low on average over the last, since 1997. And the reason for that is really pretty simple. When we go through Nebraska is 60% irrigated and 40% dry land, but because we only do the eastern part of the state, our samples will be about 40% irrigated and 60% dry land. So it's just the opposite of what the state is. So since we've got a higher percentage of dry land yields in there, we know that we have to adjust that up to account for the higher yielding irrigated corn further west. Another great example is Minnesota. We only sample in the southern three crop districts, which are traditionally, maybe not this year, but traditionally they are the higher yielding crop districts in the state. As a result of that, we always measure Minnesota too high, 12, 13, 14 bushels, something like that. So when we get done with that, then we have to adjust that number down to account for what we call the historical differences on the tour. There are differences. We know that there are differences, and Indiana is is the state that we are closest on. We're on average since '97. We've only been off by an average of about 2.3 bushels per acre, but we still have to make that adjustment, and we'll also adjust for general crop conditions, maturity of the crop, and we will also look at conditions outside of the tour area and make some adjustments there. Yeah, USDA's already pounded down the average yield in Missouri, but I feel like we need to take a little bit more off of that Missouri yield. And so we'll work that into our crop estimates. Then on soybeans, you'll see those pod counts. We've got some ways that we like to use those pod counts and plug them into some models that give us a good idea of what the national average yield will be. But after 20 years of being out there and counting pods, I'm telling you, sometimes the easiest way to estimate a bean yield is to put on your farm hat, stand at the edge of the field and say, geez, they look like 40 bushel beans to me. And I'm not trying to downplay what we're doing out here on tour by counting those pods, because it does give us a good idea of how much of the bean production factory is up and running out there. And the other thing is, when we get out there and pull that canopy back to start counting pods, we're taking a look at the general health of the plant. We're taking a look at soil conditions and so on. So there's a lot of things that go into why that crop tour number is different than what the pro farmer crop estimate is at the end of the week.